using the humblest and simplest of tools, combining textures and colors, fabrics and fiber. We tell the stories of our lives one stitch at a time. Welcome to Antique Needleworkers. Well, hello and welcome to Antique Needleworkers. My name is Shellie and this is my channel about cross stitch and all my crafty endeavors, and I'm so glad that you've joined me here today. If today is the first time that you are stopping by, I thank you so much. I hope that while you're here, you will find some inspiration or some help in your making. And if you're a return subscriber, I thank you for coming time and time again. Well, hello, my sweet friends. I'm so glad to be here today. I'm sure you saw with the title of the video, we're going to have a little special day. I'm not going to be showing any stitching except for what you might see on some hoops or something. Today is a very special edition. Last week when I filmed, I had done a review of a new stitch stand that I had recently received, and I can't tell you the overwhelming response that I got to that, and I got all kind of messages and emails and comments. People were just so excited to see something that I suggested. And so an overwhelming theme was, oh, I wish you'd show me this, or I wish you'd show me that. I don't live near an LNS. I don't have a stitchy friend. I'm out here all alone, and I learned so much just on that thing. What are some other things that you like? And I thought this is the perfect time to make a video. I've never really done that other than last time. That was a serious review, even though it was a regular Flosstube. But as far as reviewing things or telling you my favorite things, I really haven't done that. And so just when the comments and the emails and the messages began to continue to come and come and come, I thought, you know what? It's mid-September. If I produce a video of my favorite things, maybe some friends could get some help for making their Christmas list for their family, or maybe not even for that, but maybe you could just find something to help you make your stitching that much easier, more productive, more comfortable, or what have you. And so that's really what spurred on this video today. And so this one's for all of you who requested it. And so today I will tell you, I've sat for several days. I have to tell you, it was a whole lot of computer work, because what I did was I sat down and I thought, okay, what are all the things that I love? And so I tried to categorize them, and then I decided, well, maybe I just need to tell them as they flow from one piece to the next. But then again, you're going to want to know where to get that. So boy, oh boy, is the description box below going to be absolutely chock full. If you don't know how to look at the description box, if you look below the video, where the title is, there's a little arrow, and if you touch it, a description box will fall down. And within this description box, I always tell how to contact me. I tell you about my LNSs and where they're at and their contact information and websites. I tell you all the Flosstubers that I talk about during the video, and I have a section where I put items that I've talked about and links to where to get them, and so they should be clickable. And so below there is going to be just an absolutely chock full of big old I've been collecting links, trying to find where everything was to make life easy on you. So hopefully do grab yourself a beverage, grab a pen and paper, even though there's the description box, write yourself a note of what you want to look up in the description box. And I'm going to just spend the day today, and I'm going to show you the things that make my stitching life easier and are my favorite things. And some of them, they're going to need to be Christmas presents maybe because they're expensive, but then there's going to be even little trifle things that are just a few dollars. But I'm showing you them because these are the things that make my life easy. These are the things that make my stitching enjoyable and productive. And so, okay, so should we begin? Okay, the very first thing that I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you my new lap frame for scroll rods that I received from Hobby House from Kathy, the owner. I'm going to show you it again because some of you may not have seen the last video. Number one and number two, as I show it to you, I'm going to show you things to go with it. Okay, so let me show you that. This frame is called, and it's all about the wood table and lap frame. Okay, this is the medium-sized version. This is 21 inches in width from this side to this side. I didn't measure this right here, but this sits on the lap so comfortably. And this is something, I'm gonna scoot back. This is something that I had dreamed for I can't tell you how long. I have wanted to be able to put things on scroll frames and to just see the big plain view, but I really had never found anything comfortably to, first of all, I can't use a scroll frame. If I sit at my office desk, I can pull, I have these writing desks that are above the top drawers and I can pull them out or pull the top drawer out and turn it sideways and stitch on it. But really, that's really the only way I've ever been able to really stitch on a scroll rod that was comfortable for me. But I have to, full disclosure, I am a couch stitcher, 99.9 or recliner stitcher if I'm up here in the studio, but 99% of my stitching is done on my couch. I have a sectional with a big cube ottoman. It's almost like a big table, and I prop my feet up on it, almost recliner style. I literally cozy and nuzzle myself up in a corner. Last video, I put a picture. I'll put a picture here. And I nuzzle myself up on the couch, and nothing has ever been able to sit on my lap and not topple off. Or I talked in the last video about how I had purchased a very, very expensive floor frame that was supposed to be able to hold scroll rods very well, waited for it to be custom built. It came, it was absolutely 100% great quality, but it just did not work for me. And so I gave it away. I've given away a whole lot of equipment over the years because if I can't use it, I can't almost barely stand to keep it because somebody else out there, they might have a different way that they stitch and it's more comfortable for them. But so in the meantime, I had talked about it on last video, I couldn't even believe it. I couldn't have written it. It's Murphy's Law. It was just a couple weeks before that Kathy contacted me, and wouldn't you know, I took all of the scroll rods, which I'm not really too disappointed about now because I kept the very excellent quality scroll rods, but I took a humongous, it was a moving box filled with scroll rods down to the St. Vincent de Paul, and then the whole world changed after that because then Kathy contacted me. But back to this lap frame. So it's all about the wood is the maker of this. Joni and Dave are the owners and makers of this frame. Vonna Pfeiffer had a lot to do with some of the ergonomics of this. I don't know the whole story. Maybe she put in an order for, could you make this for me? I don't know, but Vonna, I'm gonna tell you, this thing is amazing. Had to have had some input from a stitcher for sure because it is tremendously well made. Solid wood, beautiful, the knobs, everything about this. This frame, I'm gonna show you a few things. First of all, you can, let me unscrew this. I had to get it at least. So you can unscrew this little screw right here and it makes the upright able to be moved back and forth. And you can put it very close together. If you wanted to put it even closer together than that, if you turn it around this way, because there's a short side and alongside where the knob is. But if you turn it this way, and then you turn the other one that way, you can get them as close as this, okay? So I'm gonna put it back into position the way that I use it. I'm gonna show you some neat things. Since I got this, I have some other of my favorite things that actually go right along with this. And it's just amazing how one tool works with the other tool, and it's just so neat. So anyhow, the exclusive distributor for it's all about the wood scroll lap frame is Hobby House Needleworks. And like I said, there are links directly to the product on the Hobby House website. If you click on it's all about the wood frame, it'll take you right to it. So the other thing that this product boasts, if you undo this, these, the upright scroll rod holders or hoop holders, they can go literally like this. And you know, if you stitch and you like to look straight down on you can look straight down. And so this is extraordinarily well made. I'm gonna put this to where it sits right again, the way I have it. And you'll notice on here, I have my scissors. It has an extremely strong magnet right here that holds your favorite scissors. And to be honest with you, while it's sitting on your lap, it's right here on the right side, and it's right at grab, and then you just pop it back down. I mean, it just really, I can't say enough about it. It has rubber stoppers on the bottom so that if you sit it down and you're using it on a table, it's not going to slide. And then right here, they also give you two screw-in feet that are rubber and round, and they kind of pivot, and you can make it sit up like this at an angle and look right at you at the table. So if you are a table person, as I said, they have, this is a medium, it's 21 inches. They have a large that is 23 inches. And I noticed, I double checked again today because I want to make sure before I talk about anything that it's where you can get it. I saw a small one on there today, and they're all the same price. So it just depends on what you're interested in size-wise. And so how this works, I'm gonna go just like this, like I did last week. And I've got some scroll frames here because I'm gonna really talk about scroll rods today. But if I take my scroll rods and I set it just like this, let me make sure I'm in frame, I can just go just like this. And it's just so comfortable. And like I said, you can take it lower like this. You could take it straight up like this if you wanted to look straight on it. I talked about how one day I took the day off. And I took the day off from model stitching and designing to just sit on the couch, and I did for 6 hours. And I just stitched and stitched and stitched and stitched and stitched. I was there 6 hours and no stitching fatigue whatsoever. And you see, this just sits like this. And like I said, with my one arm resting on it, it takes away that stress on your arm. And it just sits very comfortable. And you know, look, I'm moving both my legs. Nothing's toppling off my lap because of this generous base, even on the small one. I can't remember what the small one was. The width, it's 21 for a medium, 23 for a large. So I'm sure it's within about 2 inches or so, but you can see that on the Hobby House website. And so this is the first of my newest. This has opened up a whole world for me. And really, you talk about being able to get some work done because the fatigue of the arms is lifted. You know my favorite thing is a queen hoop. We know this. And I'm going to talk about queens and all of those things. I'm not abandoning using my hoops. I still use my hoops. And I'm actually going to show you another frame that's a hoop frame, a stand. There are... well, as my grandma Honey would say, There's lots of ways to skin a cat. And so there are different situations where you'll do things in different ways. And so for my big sampler pieces, and I want to have them on scroll rods and things like that, this is the way to go for me. And I cannot say enough about this. And this frame is very reasonable for, I've had one of everything, and let me tell you, and this is $349 for this. And it's just, but to me, after now I've had it several weeks and I have just stitched and stitched and stitched on this. I love this lap stand. Cannot say enough about it. Really, really, really has helped and encouraged a fatigueless stitch for me. And you can find the link below, and it is It's All About the Wood lap stand. And while I'm here, I'm going to show you, like I said, I'm going to show you things based on what I've just showed you. And so you saw that I said right here, see, my scissors are going nowhere. See, they're right here because they were attached to this magnet. So let's talk about my scissors. They're one of my favorite things too. I have to tell you, I was so distraught during the pandemic because these are Dovo scissors. Let me show you those up close. This, you won't be able to probably find these gold ones. These were a 3-part set that were made for the silver needle for a celebration. But this particular the style of the scissors, I have another pair. I'm going to show you in just a little bit. But Dovos are my exclusive favorite, very favorite scissors. This is something that possibly you're going to have to ask for Christmas. But I'm going to tell you something. The very tip of these, my father, let me just go backwards. I can't believe that my father was a barber and a hairstylist. And so my dad, his whole life was about scissors. He said to me, there are no better scissors on the planet except for ones that come from Germany. They're just the best made. I would tend to believe that because these scissors, the action of the tips of them, the way they cross over, the very tip of that will cut a thread. You could barely even get near it. Like when you know you've really just played thread chicken and you're gonna get right there. They even have some with curved up blades. But I will say these will cost you a pretty penny. They're gonna be up over $100. This is a beautiful gift that you could ask for Christmas, and you can find Dovo scissors at the Silver Needle, and there is going to be a link below to them. But I will honestly say to you, I have all kinds of scissors. My second favorite scissors is a Premax from Italy, and they're very, very inexpensive. Hold on, let me write that down because I'll put a link for that for you. Premax scissors. I didn't think ahead that I would say that, but okay, so I have every kind of scissors out there. I love them. There's jars of them everywhere like this. You'll see that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jars just like that, just in here. Then I have another huge one over in my office. I like scissors. They're very, very important, but I will tell you, there is nothing that works or snips nice as a Dovo scissors. Thrilled to death that they came back out. The company closed after 100 some odd years, I believe, or something like that, and it was during the pandemic. I don't know what happened. I am so happy they are back. And so you can get Dovos from the Silver Needle, and the link is below. And I'll show you the other pair. See, they look just like this, but you see they're silver. And these are called the Anne. And but when you go to the page for the Dovos that is from the link below, you'll see all that the Silver Needle has. But these are, bar none, end of the day, my favorite scissors. And you're gonna see them. I just pulled it off the hoop frame. They're sitting on my frame. And then I have another, I have a little at the couch. It's an antique hanky box. And inside of that is another pair of Dovos. So if I'm sitting with my hoops and I'm stitching with my hoop, I can grab those scissors because these stay now with my frames. Okay, and now let me mark this off the list. So we've talked about the It's All About, and we've talked about, let me go on my list to my Dovos. I showed you the Dovos. See, I want to keep on track because I don't want to forget anything. Now, while I'm here and I just use the word hoop, let's talk about hoops. Now, I get a lot of conversation. Video 19, What's All the Hoopla, was bar none outside of the tour of the mill, one of the most watched videos that I have produced. And I talk about the history, the making of hoops and frames. I show you an exhaustive, it was not all of my equipment, but boy, I show you for a very long video, hoops and frames and different types of things. But you know, I'm an avid queen lover. I don't pursue as hot and heavily as I used to because I feel guilty because I want to give somebody else a chance. I used to get up, make my cup of coffee, and I wouldn't start the day without searching the entire internet for, you know, my queen hoops. That was how I started my day outside of my devotions. And so this is a queen hoop. And they are all the rage. 4 inch is my very favorite because if I'm stitching on a stand, I stitch two-handed, but if I stitch with my hoop, I do the sewing method. I used to, and you know how all of this started? I never used any of this stuff. I always stitched in hand, but these 4 fingers have had surgery. I had trigger fingers. My thumb was at one point so bad that it was stuck like this for a month before I could get my surgery, and I couldn't, it was literally pinned down to my hand and I couldn't raise it up. And so I moved to using a hoop because of my hands. Now I can still stitch in hand and I will grab, if I'm doing a 28 or a 32, or if I grab a piece of Ada or something like that, you could see me stitching in hand, but generally because this is my passion, these things right here, I protect them. These 10 little digits right here, after I've had 4 trigger fingers, and these are the most common ones right here, the middle finger and the thumbs, you see? And so, but it's so funny because if you notice, I've talked about how when I stitch in my hoop, I have my fabric not taut. I keep it loose and I press up with my middle finger and I bounce my needle like this as I stitch the sewing method off my finger because it feels like I'm still stitching in hand. But the thing is I'm not going like this like I would before. The hoop gives structure to the linen, and I can just, I don't even hold it. I rest it like this. And it's giving a little structure to the linen. Okay, so I get a lot of conversations. Where do I find them? Listen, I'm not one of the lucky ones. I've probably spent a college fund, I don't know, on buying queens, but I will tell you I have some advice for you. And let me just talk about these 3 hoops really quick, and then I'm going to give you the advice. Okay, so if you haven't watched video 19, queen hoops are the cream of the crop. They are what everybody searches for. They haven't been made for 100 years. They have this dial up top that does the tensioning. So this is the queen, but underneath of it is the princess, and it's a bowspring. And the way you release this is you press it down and it releases the pressure because there's a gap right here, right there. And so when you press down on the spring, it kind of lets that loose a little bit. So if I want to put this back on, I push down, and there you go. So it's queen, princess, and then there's a duchess, and I don't have one at the table, but it's not got any springs. It doesn't have any screws. It's just a ring and a ring, and it can get really, really tight. And so you had the Duchess, the Princess, and the Queen. And so that's the royal lineup, basically, from the Gibbs Company that was up in Canton, Ohio. But they also made another one, and it was called a Hold Tight. And let me tell you something. I have to say, if I'm not using my Queen, I do love a Princess. But a hold tight is amazing. It's from the same time frame, from the same manufacturer, and you're gonna get this much more reasonable. These are several hundreds of dollars. They're a kidney and a liver, okay? But this, you can get one of these, and I promise you, all of us queen hoop lovers will tell you that these hold tights are great. And so this may be an option for you, and to be able to use an heirloom hoop, and they're really, really, really nice. So I can't say enough about that. So if this is not in your ballpark, maybe this one will be. She's the next in the lineup, and that's the Princess. And the Duchess, she's the beginning of the floor, and so is the hold tight. But I have to honestly say, I love a hold tight. Now, I do want to say a few things. On social media, within the last month, there was a precious, I about had a heart attack. On the Homespun Needlework group, there was a sweet stitcher who had put her queen hoop into her stitchy stand. So basically she put a 100-year-old hoop and put it in a vise, and it crushed it. My heart sunk for her because I can only imagine how she must have felt. I did reach out and gave her some very unorthodox ideas how to repair it, because at that point you have a 100-year-old hoop that's splintered in pieces. It's going to be unorthodox, but I'd rather have it unorthodoxly fixed than not have it at all, okay? So, but one of the things I will tell you is, my friends, if I were to walk past you and see any of these hoops in your hoop stand, I would put my hand on your shoulder and say, bless your heart, I love you. Get that hoop out of that stand. These haven't been made for 100 years. They're antiques, they're heirlooms, and they're priceless. Whether it's the top of the line or the bottom of the line, do not put these in your stands. Please, please, I'm begging you. Do not do that. That's a vice that you're putting it in. And these are over 100 years old. And to me, they're priceless. And I would say to you, sister girl, I love you. Get that hoop out of that frame, because they are going to splinter. In the best of care, you put this into there. And I know there are some of you who say, Shellie, I've been putting my queen hoop in my hoop stand, in my Patoki stand, in my this, that stand. And I have to honestly say, my opinion is just an opinion, and you do not need to listen to me. But what I will tell you is, if you want to keep your heirloom, I would err on the side of not crushing it. And so please, for the love of all that's good, do not put your antique hoops into your hoop stand, okay? And that's going to lead me to my very next thing. Hey, I'm popping in and interrupting my own self in my video. I realized I was getting ready to turn the lights off and walk down the steps, and I realized I didn't give you the advice about the queen hoops and the antique hoops that I wanted to give you. So I'm interrupting myself in the middle of my own video, and I'm going to fill you in, and then I'm going to just pop right back out, and we're going to go back to what we were talking about. But the advice that I have to give you is this. If indeed you want to hunt yourself down a beautiful antique hoop, one of the things I will tell you is, if you're going to hunt for them on eBay or on Etsy, look at very carefully at the pictures. Just because it's the most expensive price doesn't mean it's the right hoop. Just because it's the cheapest price doesn't mean it's not the best hoop. But what I will tell you is looking at the photographs. You know Callie Simmons, the other Floss Boss and Cousins. Hi, Callie girl, love you. I helped her when she was buying her very first queen hoop, and I taught her how to examine the pictures. I told her, I said, look, send me all the ones. Now, I can't do this for everybody, so just here's your FYI. Okay, so when you look at the pictures, you want to make sure that you look at the inner hoop really well. Even if the felt is missing from it, that's not a game changer. But you want to look for cracks. You want to look for fixes and things like that, especially if they're charging you $300 to $500 for a hoop. and you get it and you find out there's a crack on the inner hoop, I'm less worried about the felt, even though when you can find one with all that felt still really nice, or if it only has a few pinholes. But be less consumed with your felt and more concerned with, is there a crack in the hoop? If the pictures in the listing are not concise enough, message the seller and ask for more. Tell them, I want very good interior pictures of the inner hoop, inside and outside. I want very good pictures of the outside hoop. Listen, people understand when they're asking you for a kidney, for a hoop, they should be willing to send you pictures, okay? Ask, if it's not listed, about the action of your dial mechanism. Does the dial work? Have they put fabric in it? Does it have a good hold? You can still, even if it's not super tight, you can use twill tape and wrap your inner hoop. That still isn't a deal breaker, but if you have a stripped out wheel, you don't want it. So be assertive. You're the only person that gets to answer those questions one time, because if you don't ask the questions and you buy it, you're out of luck, because you don't get to return it 99.999% of the time. So look at your pictures. If the inner hoop has great felt, oh, that's awesome, but it's still not a game changer if it doesn't. You want to look for cracks. Rust isn't a game changer on like where the dial mechanism screwed down. Sometimes you can take a little piece of steel wool and give it a little zhuzh, and that's all gone. So if you find one for a good price and maybe it has a little bit of rust, listen, that's not going to hurt anything. Use your common sense, but the most important thing is, does your wheel work, and are there cracks in the hoop? That is my FYI on buying queen hoops. Now, if you look for a hold tight or you look for a princess, the same things apply. You want to check for cracks in the wood. So get concise pictures if there's not concise pictures. A lot of times, if there's a make an offer underneath of it, make an offer and just see if they'll bite. Even if you saved a few dollars, don't be shy. They put the make an offer thing on their listing. So make an offer if you feel like it's too high. But really, you want to have, to find 100% condition, it's 100 years old. I mean, let's be realistic. I have a couple that are in pristine condition. They probably were never used, but if they were real stitchers, they're going to be used, and there are 100 years between then and now. So, and again, don't clamp your hoop into a vise. No, not for your queens and your hold tights and your princesses. No. Get yourself either a cheap hoop that you don't care if you crack it, or get a Harwick Manor, which is my suggestion, because you'll have a forever hoop that'll take the tension. But I hope that helps. Now listen, I'm going to pop back out just like I popped back in, and we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled programming. Bye-bye. And that is the next stand that I'm going to show you, and it's my favorite hoop stand. And it is the oak from the W company. Now that's another item I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay, this stand is phenomenal. If I take this little lever and I pull it up, you can swing this high or low. That's with this lever. Hold on, now what did I do to it? Okay, now I got it back in place, okay? But then you can also move this lever, and it moves this head up and down. And there's that vise that I was just telling you about. This is where you put your hoop. And I'll put my hoop in here really quick and show you what it looks like. The W stand is very, very well made. This will definitely fall in the Christmas presents. I put how much? It's $890. Okay, so that's way up in the birthday, the the Christmas, everybody in the family pitch in kind of gift. And, but I will say it's my very favorite. And now I'm gonna show you how this works. You'll see the base, okay? You can use this in your lap, or you can use this on the table. Again, you move this little lever like this, and you can adjust where that hoop falls, just like this. You can adjust the side higher or lower. Again, let me just do this like this so it looks a little more normal. Okay, as well, when you receive this, you will receive this piece as well, and you can put scroll bars on it. No disrespect, but it doesn't work for me, and I'm gonna show you why. See that base? When it sits on my lap and I use this, the scroll rods dump it left or right. I can't get it to sit on my lap, but if you use it on the table, it will do them just fine. And what you do is you come here and take these screws off and take this piece off, replace it with this and put the knobs back on, and then it has those on there. But this is my preferred method for it. And this is from W Stands, and there will be a link below. It is, again, another piece of fine woodwork. Right here, it has a little metal tag with its information. I'm just, like I said, I'm going to show you all the things while I'm doing this. Well, let me show you this first. Okay, you can see this hoop. This is the kind of hoop that I use in my hoop stands. Let me also show you, there's lots and lots of sizes. These are Harwick Manor hoops. So first off, the W stand, lovely, very, very nice construction. My very favorite hoop stand. Link for it is below. The cost of it is, as I said, $890. It has a lifetime warranty. The construction and the way that these levers move is very comfortable. There is another piece that you can buy. Instead of, like, when you do this, you can put it up and it'll hold it there, and then you can tie off your threads. But there's another piece of equipment that they make that can hook right here, and it'll make it swivel, but it's a different and separate cost. But when I'm using a hoop, when it's not a big giant piece and I want to use my hoop and not hold my hoop at all in two-handed stitch, I use my W stand. But as I said, now let's talk about, let me show you this first, and then we'll get into the hoops because it'll be a minute, okay? So I like to have my scissors at the ready all the time. And this does not have a built-in magnet, but what it does have is its metal tag here with its W stands there. And there, Lori Holt has this. This is it's a scissor minder. And this is the Americana scissor minder from Lori Holt. This can be purchased from Fat Quarter Shop. The link is going to be below. It's a scissor minder, just like a needle minder. And it has a very strong magnet on the back. And so you've got two of these, but leave it just like that. And if you have this, it'll just stick right there on that metal tag. It's not going anywhere. And so I have my Dovos, and I put it right there, and this is going nowhere, and I have my scissors at the ready because I like to just reach. I don't want to dig in the sofa for it. And so the next thing that I wanted to show you was this scissor minder and listen, this scissor minder, you got to kind of slide it off there because it's holding on for dear life there. So you're not going to lose your scissors. So this is a way for you to keep your scissors on your stand if you're using a W stand. Now, I want to talk to you about the hoops. As I just said to you a moment ago, please don't use your antique hoops on any of these things. They're vices. You're going to just crush it. These are Harwick Manor hoops. These are hardwood, finely made hoops that are reasonable. And again, they're going to be in our heirloom one day. And each of these that I prefer to use here are the 5/16 in thickness. So this is an 8.5 square round. They call it, I think they call it a square. Here are some round ones. all the way down to a 4-inch. And I'm gonna pan you over this way. Do you see that right there? Right there? Those are all Harwicks over there except for 2. One was a beautiful little material covered hoop that my daughter bought me that it's priceless and precious to me. And then I have a hoop over there that I've had since I was a teenager and began doing an embroidery and cross stitch seriously as a young teenager, and I've had it my whole life. I don't remember a time when I didn't have it, and it came from the Benjamin Franklin. It's just a regular couple dollar hoop. Now listen, for you who want to use your stands, if the budget's not very big, I would rather you use a couple dollar hoop from the, from Walmart or from Michael's or someplace like that, than to use your beautiful antiques. No. Yes. These are what I use. I tend this 8.5 square. This one needed wrapped, but I love this. And then I have another one that's a 6.5 in square, and I love it. And but it's in the house. It was a project. One of the things that you'll see is right here, they have numbers on them for some of them. And you know that when you take this apart, you need to put it back together to make your number, because that's the way the wood was bent. These are fine, beautiful, strong, 5/16 inch thickness hardwood, fine made hoops. These are going to be the queens and stuff of today. So this is what my suggestion is. And so Harwick Manor hoops, I'm going to put listings below for you to find some hoops. Please use this rather than. And another thing, while I'm sitting here, I want to show you this. So you see we do have our lead screw here. I don't put my hoop in with this at the top. I actually put mine in my stand a certain way, and I will show you, and it might work for you, it may not. I'm a two-hander, so I'm not sticking and stabbing, but if you stick and stab, this will work as well too. Whichever is the hand that's moving the most, put it on the opposite side. But I put my linen in, and I put my screw to the bottom left. And the reason why I do that is because when you're mounting it and putting it up into here, this gets in the way. So whether you it doesn't matter how you acclimate your linen, because some stitch from the underneath of when they hoop and some stitch from the top. It's not about that. It's about not getting this screw up into the clamp. And so that way you can get a good tight clamp on your hoop. And so this is the W stand. This is the Lori Holt scissor minder, which I absolutely, look how big that is. I think this is 4x4. It's 3x3 or 4x4. I'm thinking, you know what, I have the thing right here. I wonder if it states it. No, it doesn't say how big it is, but I'm telling you, you can put your needles, you can put a couple pair of scissors on there, but if you notice, it's not going anywhere, and it's very tight, and I hook it right there. And then my favorite hoops to use in a hoop stand are a Harwick Manor, because I am protecting my precious heirlooms. And so that was the W stand. Let me go ahead and mark this off my list while I'm doing this, because I want to make sure that I cover everything. Okay, that was the W stand, and then the scissor minder, and I talked about the Dovos, and then I talked about the Harwick Manor hoops. Okay, and so like I said, there's lots and lots of sizes, whatever makes you happy. Whether you like a round hoop, just remember, put that screw down so that you don't get it in the way of the top. That's just my tip. Square, round, you know, just, you can get them in any size. Hoop and Frame has them. A lot of your local needlework shops, you can check with your local needlework shop, but if you can't find one there, Hoop and Frame has them all the time. And so I will put a link there for that. Okay, now let's move on to scroll rods. First things first, before I talk about scroll rods, I'm going to talk about another thing I got rid of. I got rid of Q-snaps. Now, in the 90s, my friend Cindy Mantle, hi Cindy, if you're watching, love you, friend. She introduced me to Q-snaps. I had never seen one. Like I said, over there is a hoop that I've had since I was a teenager. I learned to stitch embroidery when I was in 4th grade, and by the time I was a teenager, I loved all of it. I had a hoop. I never saw one of these, and so I bought a bunch of them, but again, they were too much for my hands. And so I had buckets of them, and I never used them. I would try, and I'd put them together, and I bought all the things. I bought the grime guards. I got shelf liner that would fit in there and hold them tight. I learned all the lessons that if they got loose, put them in the dishwasher, and they tighten back up, all the things. I never had to worry about any of that because I never could use them because they were just too much for me. And so Christy Keith, the Floss Bus and Cousins, hi Christy, cousin Christy, I love you. She possesses a whole bunch of my my Q-snaps because I gave them all away. Because, like I said, if I'd rather give them to somebody who can use them. Well, so I get it's all about the wood stand, and I thought, oh, daggone it. And I don't even know, right here you see this cabinet, that's actually new. I had so many heavy things in the old one. It was one of those Sterilite, it looked like a dresser, but it was plastic drawers, you know? And yeah, it collapsed, so I had to buy a new one. So I was out here digging in one of the shelves to take that thing apart and to build this new cabinet behind me. And lo and behold, I missed one. It was taken apart and it was under a bunch of things. And it was this 11 by 17. And like I said, that, you know, they come like this and then you put them together. You just push them together and it's 11 by 17. This is a great size. And so anyway, yeah, I may have ordered 4 more sets. But anyway, because I think this is really great, and what you're seeing here, is a whole bunch of thread. And this is my Jane Parsons. I love it, and I've been working on her. And so anyway, this 11 by 17, let me show you how it sits on my wonderful stand. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? It's a fantastic size for a bigger piece. And it's extraordinarily affordable. And so the 11 by 17 Q-snap, I will put a link below where you can get one of these. And as well, I abandoned and never used the grime guards because I never used the Q-snaps. So I found a new place to get some grime guards, and I bought this, and I'll put a link for this below. And it's just like a little, like if back in the day when your grandma put her curlers on, it just covers the edge and keeps it nice and clean. And like up top, you saw there's a little folded over fabric. Well, so, and now you put your little grime guard on and it keeps all the edges clean. Not a necessity, but I was like, what the heck? So I'll put a link for grime guards below, and I will put a link for the 11 by 17. Funny thing, when I got on to find an 11, I measured it up to see what size it was, first of all, because I had no idea. And so I measured it up and got on there, and there was one available where I was looking, so I ordered it. And then this is just an idea. I did not do this, but come to think about this, if you got on to look for one and they didn't have an 11 by 17, if you bought a 17 by 17 and you bought an 11 by 11, you could take the two ends and put them on your 17 by 17 and you have 2 of them. I'm just saying. So anyway, but I like the shape of this and I like the size of this. You see, this is half the sampler. You can see it. And so it sits right on the frame, very light, very easy. So a Q-snap 11 by 17, never thought I'd ever be able to use these. Christy Keith will attest to the fact she owns the ones that I sent her because I gave them away because I couldn't use them. Well, and but before I redress this thing again, the other thing that I'm going to show you are these. These are magnetic, let me get the exact name there, Smart and Cool silicone magnetic cable ties. And what it is it's a magnet. And see, I have this extra fabric here. And so you're gonna see these in another place. I have them on a scroll frame as well. But you can just, they're the strongest ones out there. And you just hook it here and it'll hold that down. What's nice is you can see it's a built-in needle minder. Here's the 4 colors that I'm currently working on. So those needles are literally sitting on there and it turned it into a needle minder, but it was just holding that extra fabric down. But you will see them on a scroll frame again. When they come to you, this is what they look like. And they're just a magnetic, and you can use it to hold down your fabric, but also the sides of a scroll frame. And I'll show you that in a minute. But Smart and Cool, a magnetic silicone ties. We'll have a link down in the description box. These are the strongest ones out there. Okay, so let me redress my Jane Parsons on the Q-snap that I can now use, which I'm so excited about because very affordable, very affordable. And you know, you think about it, you know, I kind of protect my very special things like my queens and things like that. So if you were just going to run to a stitch day or something like that and you had it, you wouldn't worry about breaking it or anything like that. So anyway, that is that. Now let me mark these off my list. Okay, so okay. Oh, I talked about my Smart and my Cool. Okay, good, good. And the 11 by 17. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, so we've talked about that. Let's talk about scroll rods. I'm going to start with the most inexpensive ones, and we're going to work our way up, okay? So the most inexpensive scroll rods that I have found that are extraordinarily well made for the price are these Frank A. Edmonds handy clamps. They work like a Q-snap, and I showed these before. And so they're a nice hardwood and a hardwood here, but you put your fabric over it and then you clamp it. Just like a Q-snap. And I have to honestly say, these are really, really nice. And they come in several sizes, but I'm gonna show you something. Okay, this is the smallest size, and let's see, this is an 8-inch. Okay, so this is 8 inches right here. This one in this pack is a 14-inch, and it's the biggest. Okay, and so, but you can get different sizes of them, but there's a pack. This is the best deal ever. This is what this will look like when it arrives, and it's going to come with 3 different sizes. And what you're going to get is, this is the 8, this is the 14, and then let's see what this middle size is. Oh, wait a minute, excuse me, this is the 20. This is the 20. Many apologies. So the bar is 20 inches itself. This bar right here is 8. So you're gonna get, there's this set of sidebars that will come with it. That's 6 inches. That's how far apart they are. And then this set is 8 inches. So you get 2 sidebars, you get 8 knobs, and you are going to get 3 sizes of bars. You get the 8, the 14, and the 20. This is the 14 right here. So, and you will get clamps. So this whole thing here comes in this package right here. And let me see, I think I wrote it down. No, I didn't put it down, but I'll tell you, I think it's like $49 for everything. I mean, where are you gonna get that? And so, like I said, this is them put together and with the extra set of arms, but I'll show you, I bought another set of them. So here's your 8 screw ends. Here are your 6 bars. You're going to get 4 uprights, like I said, an 8-inch set and a 6-inch set, and then you'll get 2 clamps for each bar for each size. Now, what I have done, and I will put a link for this full set, like I said, I think it's in the neighborhood of $49. I will also put the links for just these and for just these, the 6 and the 8-inch uprights, because like I said, you're gonna have one set right here that doesn't have sidebars and it doesn't have knobs, okay? So you can individually get knobs and you can individually get a 6-inch or 8-inch side. So I have 2 sets. I may get more, I don't know. But so I needed 2 more sets of uprights and 2 more sets of knobs. So I have ordered those. So I have a link for that. So if you buy a set and you want to get a set of uprights for your extra set of bars and knobs, there's a link for that in the description box below. So that way you will have 3 complete sets. But for $49, and it's very inexpensive for the knobs and the uprights, so you will have 3 complete sets of Edmonds Handi clamp scroll bars, and they work really great. Now, like I was showing you saying a moment ago, I'm going to pull a different type up, but what I wanted to talk about, see these are the Cool Smarts. And so when you have things on a scroll rod, sometimes it's not very tight on the sides, so I bring mine and I connect them together, and then they'll slide into place and it'll hold it tight. So if it's not too far off, you could use the Cool Smart ties to make it a little tighter on your sides. But sometimes it's a little farther out, and that would be this piece, and you see this is how far this is out. So it was reaching its limit to be able to get that magnet out there and hook it there. So this right here, this is from a place called Slow Dolphin, and these are backdrop string clips, and they have a spring clip right here, and you just pinch it onto here. And I'll just take one of these and show you how this works. All right, I have a package. The package, I think, comes with, I want to say 12 or 14 of these. I can't remember, but this is what they look like. And so you'll take this and wrap this around your stretcher bar. But do you see this? It has this, this pull. You can push this button and you can pull this tighter or make it looser, you see? And so you just clip it and hook it onto the side. But so let me just, I'll show you while I'm sitting here how I hook mine. Let me unhook it from my linen. Be careful with your linen because it does have a lobster grab. So you just take this, and I'm gonna hold it right here, and I'm gonna wrap it around my frame like this. This would be for like a backdrop or for like a screen for like a projector, you know, or something like that. Okay, so again, you can take and pinch the button and make this string longer, or you can make it shorter, just like that. And so, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clip it onto my linen right here, and then I am gonna pull it taut and get it in place. And then what I do is I wrap it right around itself to kind of hold it down a little more. And then I pull up one of the rubber straps and I wrap it over the tip of that. And then it looks just like that. And then it holds it taut. So if it's farther away and your magnets aren't reaching, these might be these are backdrop string clips. So there will be a link below in the description box for these and the Stay Cools, and that's what I use them for. Okay, and so that was the Handi clamp by Frank A. Edmonds scroll rod, and then the accoutrement to go with it. Let me mark this off that I've talked about that. Okay, now the next scroll rods that I want to talk about, and I had a viewer ask a question, and her name was Linda Slater. Hi, Linda Slater. You asked me where to get a 36-inch scroll rod. I'm going to talk about these scroll rods, and you can get these up into a 36-inch. And so these are called a Easy Stitch by American Dreams, and they're a nice hardwood frame, and I'm going to show you 4 different sizes of them. And I'm going to tell you this right here, I got this up on this the other day. This is Charlotte Warrington. I started this. This is the big, awesome project from the Homespun Needlework. And you see how big this linen is. You see my tiny little start right there. Isn't that hilarious? This was my leap year start, and it's been in a bag. You know why? Because as they said, Vicki Jeanette said, and like they said on the group, it's a blanket. It is a blanket. I thought that's why I bought the 36-inch American Dreams Easy Stitch frame, because I thought Charlotte Warrington was going to go on there because it was so huge. But friends, this is a 30-inch. It fit just fine. Okay, now let's talk about the Easy Stitch scroll rods. The Easy Stitch scroll rods. Now, you get this Velcro tape, and you put it on the scroll rod, and it stays there forever, okay? And then you buy the, it's hook and, what do they say? What do they call it? Hook and, it's a Velcro, and you can hook it to your material, and I'm going to have links for the frames. I will have links for the tapes. Now, the tape is different that goes on the bar than goes on the fabric, because you know Velcro, one side's the fuzzy part and the other part's the grabby part. And so you buy it like this, and don't be afraid, this is hooked right on there, and so is Charlotte Warrington. This is a American Dreams Easy Stitch scroll rod, and this piece and Charlotte are connected with this Velcro tape. And so, but they're very, very nice scroll rods. They're fine, good wood, and it is the lazy man's hookup. You just put the tape on, you give yourself the head space and the foot space on your linen, you put the tape along the edge, you hook it onto here, and you roll that thing down, and bam, it's on there. And so, of course, I always leave enough room to, well, in the past when I've tried to use them, and I've trimmed it off. And so that's what I plan on doing now. But so that is how you do this now. There are some Easy Stitch American Dreams that have some fabric that it looks like a very stiff Aida, and it's stapled onto the bar. And then that's the way that you used to do your scroll rods, was you would baste your linen with just some sewing thread onto that lead fabric, is what it's called, a leader. And you would stitch it on there. And if you wanted to do that and you didn't buy an Easy Stitch American Dream frame like that, you know what you could do is you could buy a piece of Aida and cut it a couple of inches long, high and as wide as needed to be, and you could hold your scroll rod down. And if you're proficient with a staple gun, you could create a leader on your bar. I did that on some old scroll rods that I got rid of, because that way I could just baste onto it. That was before I found these that had the hook and loop tape that you hook to it. So this is another option, and then they're very, very nice frames. And so you can find those, you can follow the link below, and that will lead you to them. Now, the very next scroll rods that I'm going to show you, I got lots of stuff here, are artisan designs. These are handmade, and these work in a channel. I wanted to show you one with the linen on it. Okay, you'll notice there's a knob that you can hold here as you're wrenching down that one, and then there's one here so that you can get that good and tight. Okay, but the system to hook your linen into an artisan designs is a little different. Let me turn this rod, and you see I have one of these cool and smart magnets because I'm holding something in. There's a channel right here. You see the channel? And then you have this lee stick. What you would do is you would take and lay your fabric over the opening and take a credit card or something of like and push it down into that groove. Then you set your rod back over it, and when you tighten it around, it holds the linen in place, and it's on both rods. And so that's really neat. These are handmade fine wood scroll rods by Artisan Designs. Now, let me remind you, as I am sitting here and talking about this, that if you were to purchase one of these, now these are handmade, you may not find that it's in stock. You place an order and they custom make it for you. And they have many, many sizes, and these are very, very nice frames. And that's Artisan Designs, and I will have a link below in the description box. Okay, and now I've come to the last ones, and these are the cream of the top of the crop. These are Millennium frames from Needle Needs Designs in the UK. They have a similar channel as that, except for, you see this stick right here? You push it through the end and you put it in there, but nothing is going to tighten your linen down. You notice there's nothing on the sides of this, because you take these and you do this, and this gets this so tight you could literally rip your linen. And these are an absolute beautiful, beautiful top of the line scroll rods. This might be a Christmas present but it's very, very well worth the money. And so these come from Needle Needs Design in the UK, and it's a Millennium frame. I also have a smaller one right here, and they call it the Little Wizard, and the Little Wizard comes in 2 different sizes, and it holds a smaller, it's got a smaller size. So it's small like this. And so, see right here, Little Wizard by Needle Needs. There will be a link for these in the description box below. But so we went from the Frank A. Edmonds handy clamps, and they would be your the best price of all of them. And then we move all the way up to this, but this is an heirloom piece. This will follow you your entire stitching life. And you notice these are the things I didn't get rid of. I did not get rid of them. I had just such high hopes. I had no ideas that when I got rid of those, that I would turn around in a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I would have had the opportunity to try the scroll rod frame that I love so much. I would have, oh my goodness, but that's okay. So I've ordered more Frank A. Edmonds. I have these, and I'm really, really excited. So all of those things you will find. The Artisan Design scroll rods are called lock scrolls. And so you will find those down below in the description box. And Yeah, and so that is the scroll rods. Now, if you give me 1 minute, I'm going to clear my space and then we'll move on to some other things. Okay, I'm back. It was just getting a little tight here and things were getting a little out of control. Okay, so let's move on and I'll show you some more of my favorite things. Now, you remember in the beginning of the video, I talked about how I was going to show you how some of my favorite things worked with other of my favorite things. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is from R&R Woodworks KY in Kentucky, and it is their chart stand. It is a well-made wooden stand. Look, it's even has a place for my highlighter so I can mark my chart. It has a place for my scissors right here if I want to sit my scissors there. And this will hold my my chart very, very nicely for me to stitch with, right next to me, sitting right up. But you can't see it, but there's another thing sitting there. So there's going to be a couple fur here, okay? So this, as I said, is from R&R Woodworks, KY in Kentucky. I will have a link below. This is another hand maker. They fine wood, wonderful stand. Know this, that when you order this, just like the Artisan Designs, this is a handmade item. They may possibly have one that's ready to go, but when you order it, know that you're ordering a handmade for you item. And so anyway, I cannot say enough about this. It works fabulously. It holds your chart. You can put your needle, you can put your scissors, but I took it up a notch. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you, I've got a new one here, but you see here's my chart. Behind it is something else. I have 2 needle minders holding this on here. This is the new Lori Holt Stitchy Board. It's metal. Okay, now look, it sits perfectly on your R&R Woodworks KY stand. See here? And then I take my Jane Parsons, I stick it right in front of it, and bam, there you go. And so when I'm marking off my chart, it just took it up a notch, didn't it? Okay, so you get your stand from R&R Woodworks KY, fabulous handmade item. You get your this is called Cloud because of the color. Now, the reason why I have another brand new in here is I actually have 3 brand new ones. And the reason why I bought them is, first off, they are extraordinarily pretty, okay? I mean, it's a very pretty item. But I did not buy it to use with my stand. I bought them because when I'm taking pictures for my website, for my products like my thread or my fabric, this makes a really pretty thing to sit it on because I was having a hard time, so I bought 3 more of them. And these come from Fat Quarter Shop, the Cloud Stitchy Board. There will be a link below, so anyhow, but it is the perfect addition to your R&R Woodworks stand. But I'm not going to stop there. Let me show you something so neat. And this was a fluke that I found this out. Now, like I said, R&R Woodworks, the links below. The Stitchy Board, link below. But watch this. So, okay, I was finishing stitching for the evening one night. Okay, now let me turn this around for you. You want to see something neat? Watch this. It fits right behind it. It fits right in your stand. And so if you want to put everything up for the night, you just tuck your R&R Woodwork stand underneath, right behind. You don't even have to take the stitchy board off of it, and it fits right there. And you can just take it over. And for me, when I'm done stitching for the night, I take mine over and sit it on the fireplace And so I don't have 50 things sitting all over the living room now. How cool is that? So like that's a total setup right there, isn't it? Is that not cool? I absolutely, I just got the thought one night. I thought, hey, I wonder if my beautiful wood stand, I bet you it'll fit right under there. And I had it far enough apart that it does. And I just walk it over and they're all stacked together. And I put everything away. Now, how cool is that? So anyway, I love this stand. It is so wonderful because, you know, I've got really bad eyesight anyway. And so I'm always having to, I use my magnifier. I have progressives and all the things. You can't wear contacts anymore because I've outdone it, blah, 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 the whole works. So to have my chart be able to sit up nicely, but then to have the added bonus of the hard-sided back with the stitchy board on there so that I can take this out and just, without taking it off the stand and mark my thing. I'm just telling you, is that not an awesome setup? So it fits right behind my thing. Okay, so now, the next thing I want to show you, what's the next thing I wanted to show you? Oh, since we're talking about R&R Woodworks KY, one of my very other favorite things from them is the 9-inch, and I mean, this is nice finished furniture like wood, and you can get it in different woods. This is a thread winder. And so you take your thread and you put it right here in the middle and you hold it and you wind your DMC off of there. And then hopefully it meets right in the middle and you snip it right there and it's the perfect length to stitch with. And so this is the best little stitchy bag tool ever, 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 because I don't want to deal with the DMC. I want to take the DMC and I want to put it on a stitch card. And but it's cut perfectly when you use an R&R Woodworks KY thread winder, and there will be a link for this as well in the description box below. And since we're talking about thread, what do we hold our thread in? Well, I have another favorite thing. This is a clutch, a stitchy clutch. And this is made by Starlight Stitch Co. See, I've got a pair of scissors in here. You got a double pocket right here, but it's a clutch. There's more to it, right? So you unsnap it and look right here. Right inside is my thread. There's a piece of wool to put your needle. There's my trash from the last time I stitched with this. And it turns into a big thread bed. So I love to have one of these. You can buy one of these. I happen to have a lot of these. But you buy these and you can keep your things for on the go, all right here. Like I said, you've got the front pocket with the clear. You've got the second pocket right here in the back. You can have your snips. You can have whatever you need to stitch with. And then you can open it up and you have your thread bed so that you can like take your one thread and sit it down because you know you're going to use it again before you hook it back up to your thread card. You can take all of your threads when you're done stitching, lay them right inside there and do this. I love this stitch clutch. Now, this comes from, like I said, Starlight Stitch Co. She does such a beautiful job, and she used to do drops all the time, and now she's custom order. So you get on there and you can choose the fabric. You just click the links and go through the process, and she will make you a stitch clutch exactly how you want it. So if you want to have just one, or you want to have like one to match, like maybe you have a couple sets that you use and you could match it up and have a stitch clutch for several of those. Starlight Stitch Co. I will have the link below. This is one of my favorite things because on the go, I can throw everything in it and off I go. That's holding my thread, my scissors, and things like that. And so it's indispensable. And that thread bed, you know, it holds your thread. I mean, you know, look, the thread's not coming off of it. And so you could even trash can it, but I'm going to show you something else in just a minute. But so this is from Starlight Stitch Co., and she does a beautiful job. Again, it's a custom made item, so if you get on and order one, you may have to wait a minute, but it's well worth the wait. And it's one of my favorite things to carry all my things when I need to go, just grab and run. And so, like I said, I have multiple of them, but if you even had just one or one to go with each of your favorite sets of project bag or project keeper or something like that, they're a wonderful, wonderful asset. So the link is in the description box for Starlight Stitch Co., and this is a stitcher's clutch. Okay, and now that I've just told you about that, and I was talking about thread garbage, I have a very favorite thing, and you know, it's okay to like pretty things, okay? And I love Polish pottery. And when I go on retreat or when I've gone to Nashville, I love to pick up a new piece. And where I stitch, I keep this tiny little Polish pottery bowl right there. And funny enough, my stitch stand on the right-hand side is where the magnet is for the for my scissors on the It's All About the Wood frame, but there's enough room on the left that I can just sit it on there. And so to the right, I can pick up my scissors, to the left, I can throw my trash. But this is one of those, I just have to love it. These little bowls right here, I've got several of them, and they sit in my office and next to my stitchy spot. I am going to put a link below. This one's 3.5 inches wide with about a 2-inch base, and this one's 4.25 inches wide, I believe. I couldn't find these for you, but I found these, and there's several different patterns, and so I have a couple down below, but it's just one of those things that you just want to be surrounded by something pretty. And I throw my orts in this when I'm stitching in my stitchy spots. I know that's kind of bougie, but I don't care. This is my favorite thing, so I'm telling you the truth. What sits around me are these things, and they're as pretty as my stitching, aren't they? And so there's a link to where to find some of these below, and they make your stitchy spot pretty. They're under $30 for this. They're all hand painted in Poland. They're Polish, and they're just beautiful Polish pottery. And so they come in all kind of bright and beautiful and lovely colors. And so I'll put a link to that. That would be a really pretty gift for like your child to buy you. Reasonable on their end for Christmas, but priceless and precious to you on your end. And so I love Polish pottery. And since we were talking about thread, let's stay on that vein a little bit. So when you need to drop your needle, you want to have something pretty oftentimes. And when I was at Hobby House last year, I bought the prettiest needle binder I've ever bought in my life. And it's a mother of pearl snowflake. I absolutely, who doesn't want everything around them to be pretty? I mean, it's so beautiful. And so let me stick it on my piece right here. But if you're so inclined to use a needle binder, oh, look at that mother of pearl. That is an heirloom piece. And it's just absolutely beautiful. But this is my very favorite needle binder that I own, because it's just, you know, the antique needle minders, they didn't have needle minders. They had thread winders and things like that. But nowadays we have needle minders, and I just think this one is the cat's meow. And so you can find the link for this below, and this is at Hobby House Needleworks. This would be a lovely gift for you for Christmas. And so this is one of those items that might end up being, like I said, something that you would get as a gift for Christmas. But this is pure, beautiful, just gorgeousness. Needle minder, mother of pearl. Okay, so since we're talking about thread, we're gonna keep on going on that vein. One of my other favorite things, and this is very inexpensive, but it's very priceless, and that's this Lori Holt stitch picker. And you know, if you're picking stitches, there's nothing like frogging. This is a frogging stick, okay? And it's very inexpensive, but I have to tell you, this is indispensable in your stitching box, because the little handle, you can't believe just this little ergonomic handle You know, when you're holding your needle and you're picking stitches and you're having to pick out, you know when you have to pick out is when you're stitching Danish and you're just doing over across and then coming back, and like this stitch down here is in the wrong place and you have to unpick the whole line because you did a half stitch all the way down and then you came back. Yes, here's your best friend. This is a Lori Holt stitch picker, and it came from Fat Quarter Shop, and there's a link below. Very inexpensive but very priceless in your stitchy box. One of my favorite things. I think I have 5 of these because it's in my purse. There's one in my box at the couch. There's one at my desk. There's one in my Winterberry box, you see? So very, very, very priceless. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to talk about is well, let me just stay right there. One of my other favorite things, since we're talking about needles, pins, and thread, is this little chicken pin cushion. I got this at Prairie Moon Primitives, and you can get yourself a little chicken pin cushion too. One of the things in here that is these little pink pins as well. Now, I did not buy these. These came from Michael's, I think about 12 years ago. My son bought me for Christmas a bunch of things for my sewing room and my stitching spot, and he bought me this. He said, Mom, I can't believe that I think I paid $2.11 for those pink. They're not even glass head pins. They're just plastic straight pins. But the pink pins, I will break your fingers if you try to borrow them because they came from my son, and I don't know. I love these pink pins, but so I'm not going to have a link for those. You can find those yourself. It's the pin cushion that I wanted to show you, and I have tons of them. But I got these at Prairie Moon Primitives, and right here there's a specific amount. There's 10 pink pins in the back. And why is that? Because I keep this next to my stitchy spot. There's one at my desk as well when I'm working, and I use those as counting pins. And I can count out 100 because I'll count out 10 stitches and put 1 in. Count out 10 more stitches, put 1 in. You see what I'm saying? And so there's enough here. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yes, they're all 10 there. So each chicken in my stitching spot has 10 pins in it so that I can, if I need to count across to 100 to make sure my stitch count's right, I've got 10 pins there. So you can go to Prairie Moon Primitives and get yourself one of these cute little chickens too. I love these, love these. So I had to show you that because I've showed you it before, and the little chicken pin cushion is one of my very, very favorite. Okay, I want to mark off my list. Okay, well, we're getting there. We are getting there. Okay, I only have a few more things to show you. Okay, I'm going to talk about some lighting, but before we talk about the lighting, I wanted to show you something. I have 2 of these, and this is a battery pack. I used to have the big brick that you would carry so that you could plug in your light, because at a lot of times you go places and you can't plug in your lights or anything like that. So this battery pack has all 4 types of plugs. So the little loop right here, it's actually this type. And then you've got a USB back here. Then you've got both types of Apple plugins, okay? So this one, I think they have a stronger one now. I don't have the link, but I'm gonna put a link in for you. And the reason why is because I didn't have enough time. I grabbed this, I thought, oh, I gotta talk about my battery too. This one has 20,000 mAh. And so I can charge my light, I can charge my phone, and all kind of things. So you can go stitch all day, like at retreat, and all you need is this little battery pack. I have another one, and you can pull down and plug it right into the wall. I'm gonna tell you though, my daughter and I both experienced this, but the one that you can plug directly into the wall, I have had 2 of them because the first one, it wore itself out. I don't know if it was a faulty, you flipped down the plug and just plugged it right into 110. I use the USB here and I plug it into a brick. And but I will put a link for both kinds, but this is like a tiny, slip it in the pocket of your stitch bag and you're juiced up for the whole day if you're at retreat or at a stitching day. And so I will put a link for and it will say battery pack in the description box. That's what this will be. And this is just, let's see how much juice I have on this one. Oh, I have 90% juice in there. See, you just push the little button and it tells you. So you even know how much juice you have in your box. And so I have experienced being at retreat and just taken one pack with me from my hotel room and charged my light back up and charged my phone up. And so you're gonna get a lot of juice out of this tiny, it's no bigger than a cell phone, okay? So that is my battery pack. There will be a link below. Okay, now, well, I was just talking about lighting. So what's my go-to for my on-the-go lighting? And it's my Halo Go. And these will run for about 8 hours. Let me see if I have any juice. This one doesn't have any juice, it needs charged up. But so it folds up very nicely and flat. And you can put this in your stitch bag and you can charge it with your battery pack. It lasts about 8 hours and it's not just a light, it's a magnifier. And so you can stick it just like this, right on the edge of the table and just stitch away, and you can, those blind eyes can see because they have light and magnification. So I tend to use magnification all the time. Okay, so, but the next type is my floor lamp, and I'm going to put pictures in right here. I not only have one of these, I have two of them. And this is the most inexpensive, best stitch magnifying light in the planet. It's got wheels on the bottom that I can push it around in the living room. It is extraordinarily reasonable in price. Oh, I have it on my list. Hold on just a second. Let me see where it's at. It's okay. I don't have it on the list, but it is on the list. Oh no, there it is. It's $89.99. It has got a very powerful 5 times. It says 5 times magnification. The listing for it is 5 times magnifying glass with light and stand. The light is so powerful. If I don't turn it the right way, my husband will say, turn down like if I have it, and he'll say, turn it down just a little bit because you're blinding me across the room. It looks like Hollywood. You can make it brighter or you can make it less bright, but the magnification is perfect. You can pull up and down. And you will see, as I'm sure that it's showing now, because I'm going to run it over the entire time I'm talking, but I also have a second one. And when you get this light for $89.99, which is nothing, you get the casters so that you can have it as a floor lamp. But as you see in the picture, there is also a clamp, and I have one clamped to my desk. And I use that in reproduction and if I'm having to stitch something in my office. So you can not only stick it in the base, you can have the clamp and stick it on a desk or a table, what have you. But for $89.99, I had always wanted a Dazor, but they were just so extraordinarily expensive. And so I found this light for $89.99, and I thought, what's the worst thing I could do? Get it, hate it, and return it? Or I could get it and maybe like it. And I loved it so much, I bought 2 of them. And so you will find the link for the Halo Go down below, and for the 5 times magnifying glass with light and stand magnifier floor stand below. Okay, so now you have seen all my lights and you've seen all my favorite things. And we have now made it to the end of my favorite things. So I wanted to say, Linda, you saw that it's the American Dreams Easy Stitch 36-inch scroll rods. There's a link below for you for that. Renee Woodford, if you didn't see last Lunsford, Renee Lunsford. I'm so sorry. And that's so funny that I would mix up your name. Your last name, Renee. My favorite sweet great aunt lived on Lunsford Lane her whole life till she passed away. But anyway, you were talking about scroll rods and not being able to use them. Well, I've showed you what to use. So Renee, get one of those stands. And then there was another sweet stitcher who messaged me a sweet message, and her name is Diana Rose, and she said she didn't have any cross stitch friends around her, no quilting friends, and she really appreciated the last video. And I'm just, you know, Diana, I'm just really glad you're here. You're all of our friends. And even though we're not in the same place, I'm glad that you joined in. You can consider me your friend. So we may not live in the same town, but you have a quilty, stitchy friend. Okay, I wanted to say all of those things. And, okay. Oh, and then one more thing. There is a young lady, and her name is Rachel. Rachel Henry. Hi, sweet Rachel. She's one of those little angels on earth here. She's a little young lady, and she's Pat Henry's daughter, and she loves to watch Antique Needleworkers, and I haven't said hello to Rachel in a very long time. And so, sweet baby girl, I just say, hello, Rachel. I'm so thrilled that you watch, and thank you so much for continuing to watch, you and your mama. And Pat, do reach over and hug Rachel for me. And then there is another sweet young lady. Her name is Emily Egner. She is Tina Egner's sweet daughter, and she is another young lady who is a little angel on earth. And I want to say hello to Emily. Emily, hello from Ohio to New Jersey. And Mama Tina, lean over and hug Emily for me. These are sweet little girls who they support their mama and all that they do, and I want to be supportive of those young special ladies and say hello to them. But friends, I hope that you found some inspiration today. Today was all about that, and I was inspired by you to make the video. Thank you so much for all your comments on the last video. Thank you for enjoying the thing that I showed and wanting to see more. And if I can do anything else for you, you all just let me know. I'll help a friend out. Like I said, there's an extensive list below with links for you so that you can find all those things. If again, you're always welcome to message and email me. I thank you for all those messages and emails. Boy, I just feel so loved when they come in. Thank you, Shellie. Thank you. Oh my gosh, could you show this? Oh, could you answer this question? Yes, I'll do my best to do any of that for you. And today was all about that, was helping friends out. I hope you found a Christmas present or 6. Make sure you send your list to your sweet husbands or in children or your wife if you're a male stitcher. And I hope you found something you liked. And but I think for today that'll do it. So these are all of my favorite things, but you know what? You are my favorite thing. I just love interacting with you. I'm so grateful that you stopped by here. If you have not already subscribed, please smash that button. That's like and subscribe button. If you have, you don't need to hit it again, but if you haven't, I'd love for you to join the crowd. You can also hop onto Facebook and join the Antique Needleworkers Circle of Friends, and I'm getting ready to do something special on there, and you have to be part of the group. Answer the questions. You can find out how to in the description box. I've had a wonderful afternoon with you. Thank you so much for joining me, but I think that'll do it for today. So until I meet you again, I wish you many happy stitches. Bye-bye now, my friends.